ahoy! Welcome, everyone, to The Pirate's Booty, the official after show of Dead and Buried Treasures, also the official podcast of Dead and Buried Treasures. I, of course, am Erik Sprowls, series creator and your host, Captain Calico Drake, where we will be taking your booty calls for the next hour regarding tonight's movie and what happened in the show. And our queue is already filled. I knew that was going to happen because I thought we had a pretty good cliffhanger tonight, didn't you? Yeah, it wasn't too shabby. You know, it's funny, my producer for Walk the Plank, Rich Kanji, really gets into the cliffhangers. I don't even know if he watches the whole show. I know he'll tune in for the last 5 minutes. That makes me laugh. So we had a pretty good cliffhanger tonight. I'm starting to take a little bit of pride in those now. He calls the villains that we have on the show Batman-esque. You know, it's my own version of Mr. Freeze, the Penguin, Catwoman, the Riddler. You know, I got all new villains on there. Captain Walter Time and the one guy who we don't know who it is yet. It's a lot of fun. So, tonight's show is sponsored by Redbubble.com. For all your Dead and Buried Treasures merchandise, leggings, laptop sleeves, you name it. Shower curtains, posters, frames, blankets. You get it through Redbubble.com. Just shop the store for Captain Calico Drake. Our other sponsor is Phoenix Comics and Toys, home of the official Dead and Buried Treasures fan club. Where you can also, by becoming a member, you can get a decoder statue and take part in the fun that we do during the show when I send secret messages out to the crew where you could win prizes unavailable to the public. Also comes with an 8x10, a quarterly newsletter, and a lot more fun, piratey goodness. That's through Phoenix Comics and Toys. Other sponsors tonight I wanted to recognize, they don't so much sponsor the podcast as they did the main show, was Steel City Con, where tonight on the show we decided to try and kidnap William Shatner and hold him for a pirate's ransom. And our other sponsor was the Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival, where you can venture back to the past and be a pirate like us. That's the Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival. And what did you think of tonight's episode? Yeah. It was long. Yeah, it was a long one. This one was a long one because there were so many effect shots. And when I say effect shots, I don't mean just like special effects like bombs and laser guns. I mean like whenever I have a photo and I put it in the show, it takes a long time to render. And of course we had all the explosions at the end and things like that, so it took a long time to put this one together. Yeah. So, but hey, I know we got a lot of calls in the queue. I don't want to waste any time. We just finished watching The Man in the Attic, which was the story about a woman who rents a room to a tenant that she slowly begins to suspect he is Jack the Ripper. And that was a good one. I'm not a big Jack Palance fan. Is it Palance or Palance? Huh? Yeah, Jack Palance fan, but I really enjoyed him when his career got older. He was okay in Shane and some of his old movies. He was great in tonight's movie, but I really preferred him when he got older. I loved him as Curly in the City Slickers movies. He won an Oscar for it. I loved those movies. And also, who could forget him doing the one-handed push-ups on the stage at the Oscars? That was just amazing. I couldn't do a one-handed push-up. If you set a sack of gold pieces right there, I couldn't do a one-handed push-up. Right. But and I loved him as Carl Grissom in the Batman Night '89 with Michael Keaton. They needed somebody to be more powerful than the Joker, an on-screen presence, and they got it when they took Jack Palance. That worked out well. So we watched the movie. It was really good. We're here to take your questions about the movie and about the creation of the episode, about our cliffhanger, about the mythology. This was kind of a standalone episode until the final 10 minutes where we had a cliffhanger that was mythology related. So we have a full queue, and for the next hour we will be taking your phone calls to answer some of tonight's piratey themed goodness. So, what do you say? You ready, Dave? All right, let's get to our first call tonight. Let's just jump right in. I'm kind of anxious to get some feedback on the show from people tonight and see what they have to say. So, this first call comes from Arlene in Wheeling, West Virginia, and she has a question about the cliffhanger. Arlene, how are things in Wheeling, West Virginia tonight?
Good evening, Captain. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a first-time caller.
Oh, well, welcome aboard. Glad to have you, Arlene.
Just wondering, why did it take so long to produce an episode this time around?
Yeah. We were just talking about that here a couple of minutes ago.
Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love your show, and the quality that you put into it is, well, I mean, it's better than any other horror house show I've seen, but...
Thank you.
Is there a reason it took so long to produce this one? Wasn't it supposed to be last month?
Yes, this was supposed to be our August show. You're pretty good for that, yeah. I'm glad you watch the show. I'm glad you're a viewer. I'm glad you have a fun time with it. Yeah, this was supposed to be our August show, and it took me a lot longer. Putting it together on the computer with the effects just takes a long time to render, and it just kept crashing on me, and I had a power outage. I had a whole thing. Dave, I don't even think you knew about this. I had snakes in my garage on the day I was supposed to render this last week to get it at BPTV's hands, and I got preoccupied with... I had police officers come to... I'll tell you about that in a minute. It was a whole thing with snakes. But yeah, Arlene, this was supposed to be our August show.
Well, fair skies and travels, and I can't wait to see next month's show.
Thank you.
Is it really a Gilligan's Island episode where they get rescued?
Yeah, well, let me answer a couple things first, Arlene. Yeah, first of all, this was supposed to be on last month. I got tied up just last week, and I didn't even tell you about this. I had snakes in my garage. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. I found them in my food pantry downstairs. I have like a little pantry in my garage. I just keep dried goods, not like bagged food and chips and stuff, but like canned goods. I opened it up to get some sodas out of there, and there's something moving in there. It's a snake. I'm like, oh my God, who do you even call for that? I didn't feel like tackling it myself and getting a garbage can and all that nonsense, so I called the police. I called 911 and said, what do you do? And they said, well, we'll send a unit out. 3 units showed up, like a little overkill, but hey, I can't appreciate them enough. They came, they took care of it, they got rid of the snake. And the funny thing was, when they were getting rid of the snake, the one guy goes, well, I know why you got a snake problem. Why is that? Oh, the mouse. I'm like, what? So I had a zoo in my garage, you know? It's like, well, anyway, I got that all cleared up. But that happened like 2 days before I was supposed to render the episode to get it in our flagship station's hands at BPTV. And that stopped me the whole day, and I missed the deadline, and I couldn't get it till the next week. So it was supposed to be on about a week earlier, which still would have been September, but it would have been closer to August, obviously. So yeah, this one ran long, and it was my fault completely. You know, I'm going to take complete responsibility for that. It's just, I had some effect shots I wanted in there. We had the effect shot at the end involving Captain Time's ship, and it was just a long thing to have to put together. And I apologize for that. But yes, next month's movie, we are doing Rescue from Gilligan's Island. There's a reason for it. It's not so much horror related, but you know what? Not a lot of people know that they made an episode. They brought a movie, brought the whole cast back to do a movie for Gilligan's Island where they get rescued. They actually did 3 of them. Did you know that? Yeah, 3 of them. And so yeah, they did 3 of these movies. I remember one was with the Harlem Globetrotters when they went back to the island and opened up a resort. I do remember that. But this is the one where they get rescued. And we're taking it from the horror angle of, and it's kind of there, a tsunami is coming, and the professor discovers there's a tsunami coming, and it's going to wipe out the island, so they have to build a boat and get the hell out of there. And that's the horror aspect of it all. Did you know that, Dave? Oh no, that's coffee. It's late. So yes, that is what we're doing next month, and that is why we took so long. Thank you for the call, Arlene in Wheeling, West Virginia. This next call comes from Rob, who has a question about, about our, we call them floaters here at the station. Our walk the plank cut-ins. Hi, Rob. Good evening. You're on the Pirate's Booty.
Hey, I got through. Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Sprowls.
You're welcome.
Another great show as always.
Thank you.
So, a question of the hour. Did you ever get around to meeting that legendary William Shatner?
Yes, I did. I did get a chance to meet Bill Shatner. He's a really nice guy. Here's the best compliment I can pay him. I hope to God that when I hit his age, if I'm still around, I have the energy and the enthusiasm, the tact, and the sharpness that he does. He tells the greatest stories, and they're just so funny. And from Star Trek to T.J. Hooker to Rescue 911 to that show he did with Terry Bradshaw, and it was he's just so funny and great. He's a true icon. He's like Betty White. He really is.
Well, some people would call it a long show tonight, but I think of it as an event once a month that's totally worth it.
Thank you.
I'm also a big fan of those cut-ins you do with that Walk the Plank update.
Oh, yes. We did that new this time around. We call those floaters. And the reason we do that, Rob, is because when we do the Walk the Plank show, we shoot it a little bit ahead of time, but some things will change. And like, for example, we talk about how we're back on in Fayette County now through CUTV. And we're on in Washington and Fayette counties through California University's TV channel. And on channel 62 on Armstrong Cable and 17 on Atlantic Broadband. That might be the other way around, but it's channel 17 and 62 in those territories. And we're on Wednesday afternoons at noon. Well, they added us to the Friday night schedule finally. And when we found that out, we'd already shot What the Plank. So we do these little floaters now where we cut in during the movie in a commercial break, and we give you like a little Walk the Plank news update. I thought that was fun. Those are cute, they're informative, and I love doing those. So that worked out very well. Thanks again on that.
Love how they're all geared towards new news on the show.
Yes, I did too.
Have a good one, Captain.
Oh, thank you so much for the call. 412-691-3803 is the number. I like those little cut-ins, Dewey. Did you like those? Oh yeah. And we do like we have a little ticker down at the bottom. We do like a little news update. And it's for the show. It's just for the show that we do the updates. But I think that's important because there's some stuff that goes on that we want to get on last second that we don't get a chance to talk about, and we'll say, well, we'll cover it next month, and we never do because we forget about it. I know, right? So, yes. So 412-691-3803 is the number for the Pirate's Booty at WDBT Radio. This is our official podcast for Dead and Buried Treasures and our official after show for Dead and Buried Treasures. We'll be taking your call for another 45 minutes. So call and get in. The queue is filled, but it will empty out as I take the call. Speaking of which, this call comes from Columbus, Ohio, and Bobby has a question about the backlogged decoders. Bobby, how are things in Columbus tonight?
Hi, Eric. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm a first-time caller, and stumbled across your show about maybe a month ago, and I got caught up watching your I think second and third seasons. I love it, and I love old monster movies, and I've seen other horror movie hosts before, but your show by far has something just fabulous.
Thank you.
It's just well done, fun, that kind of thing. My son has watched this with me because he loves horror flicks too, and so we joined your fan club. And let me say, the kit was amazing. From the newsletter to the statue, just amazing. I want to ask, is there any way to collect the past statues like Santa Drake the patriotic pirate decoder that looks like Uncle Sam?
That's a good question, and I'm glad you asked that. That is I don't know the answer though. You kind of threw me on that, Bobby. The best way to do that is to contact Phoenix Comics and Toys and talk to the artist down there. His name's Rob Fleck. I think he will tell you that as of right now, no. There is not, because they are the first, they were collector's items. They were offered at the time that they were available, and we notified everybody, for example, the Uncle Sam ones that came out on Memorial Day, the 4th of July, we said you have until the end of July, and after that they're gone forever. Same thing about Christmas last year, because we have a new seasonal one coming out in the spring of 2022, which would be geared toward St. Patrick's Day, where I will be dressed up as a leprechaun. And I can't wait to see that one. But I think he's going to tell you no, they are not. But because we're doing them seasonally, he may tell you to check back in, for the Santa Drake one around Christmas. I'm leaving that up to the artist entirely. If he wants to make more and have like the version come out again, I'm all for it. Same thing with the Patriotic Pirate decoder, the one like Uncle Sam. We might re-release that next summer between Memorial Day and the 4th of July. So if you're still with us and still with the show, obviously you sound like you're big fans since you're members of the fan club, you and your family. It's probably what I would recommend. But that would not be my call. That would be his call as the artist. I would get in contact with him. Phoenix Comics and Toys. If you want, Dave, why don't you put her on hold, and I will get back, and why don't you give her the number for Rob? Yeah, for the toy store. Yeah. Otherwise, for anybody listening out there, you could probably just contact him again through Phoenix Comics and Toys, and he can give you a better idea. 412-691-3803 is the number for the Pirates Booty. This is the official after show for Dead and Buried Treasures and the official podcast. And speaking of the podcast, you can now hear us on several venues, and I wanted to bring that to people's attention too. You can hear us on several venues: Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Pocket Casters, and wherever else you can hear a podcast, wherever it is available. I said Spotify, right? Yeah, and all these other different places, a plethora of different places to hear the podcast and our after show. Make sure you check it out. We got the idea of doing the podcast through Anchor. So if you get the app for Anchor, you could probably find us on there first and foremost if you're really looking for us, or any place else. Just search for Dead and Buried Treasures, the Pirates Booty, and there'll be a whole episode listing on there for different episodes we do for the podcast. So by all means, check it out. It's worth it. It'll be a lot of fun to you. Right? Yeah, of course it is. Grumble, grumble, grumble. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Rah, rah, rah. Coffee. It's all right. Wake up, Dave. Wake the kids, phone the neighbors. It's Captain Drake, and I'm here to talk about pirate goodness. Oh, man. Dave's in the studio, and he's like my engineer, and he's kind of falling asleep. Hold that thought. That's my Wake Up Java. No, that's a vanilla latte right there, babe. Oh, yeah. Good stuff. Right. All right, so 412-691-3803 is the Pirates Booty. This next call is from Phoenix, Arizona. Tom, you had a question about... Looks like Tom has a question about the mermaid tonight. Welcome to the Pirates Booty, Tom. You're on the air.
Hello, Mr. Sprowls.
Hello.
Hey, I love your show.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
I love the after show too, and it's like they say, it's like The Walking Dead. When The Walking Dead started their after show, they said, hey, you're not successful unless you have an after show. So we do an after show. Then they said, hey, you're not successful, we have a pre-show. So we do a pre-show. We love talking and getting feedback from everybody. It's such a fun night. I always look forward to these kind of things because it's like one of our callers said earlier, it's much like an event.
I have a question, if that's okay.
Absolutely. What can we do for you?
It's kind of unrelated to tonight.
Okay, shoot.
Whatever happened to Mermaid Marabella?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any plans on bringing her back?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Mirabella, the funny thing is, because we only do 10 of these in a year, we just can't have everybody on the show. And we have a lot of characters. We have me, we have Jack, we have Davy Bones, we have Professor Gertie, we have Mirabella. We're introducing a new one next month, Jasper the Caretaker. We have the villains, the Wraith Brothers. We have the new villain who's going to be our main villain. You don't quite know who he is yet. Captain Walter Time, we might even release as a collectible figurine. There's a whole bunch of there's my ex-wife that's been on the show. There's Reggie. Oh my gosh, how am I going to forget Reggie? So we have all these characters. We just can't fit them all on the same show all the time. So yes, we are bringing Mirabella back. She will be back, I believe, in 2 episodes. I believe she will be back in a couple episodes. And the young lady who plays Mirabella, Aline Isley, she is now one of my associate producers on the show, because she is getting us into Moon Township in the Pittsburgh area, which is going to be another, I don't know, thousands upon thousands of more homes in the Pittsburgh area. So we're really opening up in Pittsburgh because she is one of my producers now. So yeah, I don't have any plans to let her go anywhere. She's very valuable to us and the show, and I appreciate everybody that does their thing for Captain Drake and company here. So yes, Mirabella will be back. And I got to tell you something too, real quick. This might be an aside. We're planning on launching, I don't want to say a toy line, that's not correct. A whole bunch of those small, I want to call them bobbleheads, but they're not, like mini figurines of our entire cast through Phoenix Comics and Toys. That will be happening very soon. She is one of them that will be released, as well as Jasper next month when we introduce him. Rich Kanji, who is the host for Walk the Plank. Professor Gertie, Jack, Davy Bones. There already is one for Jack and Davy Bones. You can find through there. The villains, Reggie, things like that. So we are having several characters released as those mini toys. They'll stand about 3 inches tall, but more on that later. That'll happen soon. But she is one of the characters that we are going to release. We're really looking forward to that. So thank you, Tom, for your call, and I hope that answers your question about Mirabella. Yes, she is coming back. 412-691-3803. You are listening to WDBT Radio, a fictitious pirate radio station that carries the official after show for Dead and Buried Treasures, The Pirate's Booty. And we'll be right back after this.
Phoenix Comics and Toys has done it again.
My decoder's here!
Yar, me hearties! The Dead and Buried Treasure Fan Club is now accepting new crew.
Wow, that is a benefit at H7.
Each fan club kit contains one decoder statue with a secret compartment containing your doubloon, one autographed photo of the captain and Jack, and one welcoming letter. Yar!
My gold doubloon!
Decode each episode's code for a chance to win prizes. Yar! Set sails to Etsy and Facebook to order yours today. Yar!
Buster, your brother needs to use the bathroom.
I'll be right out, Dad!
Lovers.
Get your Dead and Buried Treasures merchandise at redbubble.com with the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. T-shirts, travel mugs, hoodies, blankets, phone cases, and much, much more. You too can even take a shower with Captain Calico Drake with a shower curtain.
This is ridiculous. How is this even possible?
That's redbubble.com and use the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. So what are you waiting for? You too can be as cool as a pirate.
Yes, of course.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures. Redbubble.com.
That I thought I would dabble in the art world myself.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures.
They'll no doubt want to pay top dollar for me service.
Hey, Davey!
What is it, Jack?
Did you hear what the captain is doing on the Dead and Buried Treasures Facebook page?
No, what?
He's giving away free passes for haunted Halloween attractions in a new contest throughout the month of October.
Really? That's a hell of a lot of savings for the crew. How does he do it?
I know! When the show airs its watch parties on Wednesdays and Fridays on Facebook, sometime during the course of the night, Captain Drake will sign in the chat room and give everyone the code.
And then what?
Well, you would need to email us with the code when he gives it.
So everything is time-stamped?
Yes. And the first correct response to the captain from the watch party receives free passes to one of the haunted attractions in the Pittsburgh area, including Allen's Haunted Hayrides, Rich's Fright Farm, or the Haunted Hills Estate.
Wow, that is spooktacular, and just in time for Halloween.
And that's not all. All of the contestants for the show who write in are automatically entered into a grand prize drawing that will be revealed during our Halloween special on the 30th, so you can use them on Halloween. But you have to attend our Facebook watch parties.
What's the grand prize?
The grand prize winner receives passes to all 3 haunted attractions.
Wow! And at the cost of those attractions, that saves a bundle. It's like 3 theme parks.
I know! It's a buried treasure in itself.
And just a short drive away.
Hey, wait! You're going to sign into the watch party and wait, aren't you?
No, I would never do that.
You're breaking up. I'll call you back.
What the? Oh, no, you don't. I gotta run, Jack.
I'm talking to myself.
Hey! Yeah!
Hello and welcome back to the Pirate's Booty, the official after show of Dead and Buried Treasures and the official podcast for Dead and Buried Treasures. You can see the latter on Spotify, Pocket Casters, iTunes, Anchor, and an assortment of other podcast availabilities wherever podcasts are heard, as they like to say. And we just wrapped up watching The Man in the Attic tonight with Jack the Ripper. And where the good captain, Captain Drake, me hearties, decided to kidnap William Shatner. And we had a lot of fun doing that. And we unveiled some new plot points, a new cliffhanger. And we had a lot of fun doing that. And we're taking your phone calls for the next 30 minutes regarding the show. And the phone lines are open. There are a couple lines open, so please call and get in the queue. We know it's late, but man, you people here in the Berg or wherever you're calling from, and our first couple of phone calls weren't even from the Berg, were they, Dave? Yeah, they're all up. You know what? A lot of them come from the West Coast, where here it's 3 in the morning or 3:30 in the morning, but out there it's just a little after midnight. Big difference. Where'd those calls come from? Phoenix, Arizona. Where else? Well, Columbus, Ohio. Oh, the one was from Pittsburgh, yeah. Wheeling, West Virginia. Yeah, well, I guess there's a couple from around here, but it's kind of neat when they have some on the West Coast as well. What's that? Oh, yeah, the next call is from the West Coast. Well, let's get right to it. 412-691-3803 is the number. This next number call comes from Los Angeles. Why can't I talk tonight? I'm putting consonants on the end of words that don't need it. Is it the coffee? Okay, I did a little bit more. Okay, so this next call comes from Los Angeles, and Tammy has a question on the double agent scenario we have on the show, and some of the celebrities are on the show tonight. Tammy, you're on the Pirate's Booty. What can we do for you tonight?
Thank you for taking my call, Dr. Sprowls. We're big fans of dead and buried treasures in my family, and it keeps getting better and better.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know how you knew I was a doctor, but yes, as my alter ego, I am a doctor. I am Dr. Sprowls. I am a college professor, and I don't ever throw that term around, but that's the truth. I can't say it's a good guess, but thank you. I appreciate the recognition on that.
We go to conventions once in a while, and I can't believe the number of people you met in your travels.
Oh.
Did you really meet all those famous people in your show tonight?
Yes, I did. It makes it sound like I have this wonderfully exciting life, and I really don't. Dave's out there in the booth. Yeah. Yep. I go to a lot of pop culture sci-fi conventions, and I've met a lot of these people at those conventions and things like that. And but in addition to that, I've worked on a lot of movies. A lot of the ones particularly shot in the Pittsburgh area, and I've worked on a lot of stuff from you name it. My favorite I worked on was Silence of the Lambs. It won 5 Oscars. It's the last film that swept the Oscars, and I was really proud of that one. I worked on Striking Distance with Bruce Willis. I worked on The Avengers when it was shot in Cincinnati, and I lived in Cincinnati, and I got some work out there on that as well. The Dark Knight Rises, when they shot it here in Pittsburgh, and they blew up Heinz Field, and I got to get down and meet a lot of the Steelers. That was my personal fun. I got a picture of me sitting on the Batmobile too. You see, the thing is, you're not allowed to have cameras on the set, but because of that simple reason. But you have it in your cell phone. And I had a chance. I'm like, oh, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Even if I get fired, I got to get me a picture of me on the Batmobile. But I'm not going to post it anywhere. That's the thing. I don't want to post it because I don't want to get in trouble. But man, I had to take it. And so you get a chance to meet all these people. When I worked on Inspector Gadget, I worked on Kingpin, Dawn of the Dead, Diary of the Dead. I've worked on a lot of stuff because a lot of these movies have been made where I was there, and when the wheel went round, I just happened to be available. And I did a lot of scouting and things like that. And in my earlier days, I did a lot of security. It was just fun. And so I did meet a lot of these actors, but I couldn't show any. I worked on Groundhog Day too with Bill Murray. He's a sweet man, probably one of the funniest men I've ever met. But because Dave was in the show, didn't you work on Groundhog Day? Yeah, Groundhog Day. So yeah, I've met a lot of these people. So none of these photos were photoshopped. These were all genuine. These were all celebrities that I met, and that's why I used them on the show. So yes.
Well, I'll be honest. Yours is such a fun show, and I'm glad to see you have all your characters back. And I can't wait to see who that double agent is.
It's funny, Tammy. We were talking before your call because Dave, he's not that loyal. He doesn't watch the whole show. What? He's like, I got a life. I know, I get it. Don't we all? I get it. I wish I had one. But we were talking about that he watches the cliffhangers. He wants to see what's going on. So Rich is like that. Mm-hmm. But he's like, tell me about this double agent thing. Who's the double agent? I said, well, you got what, half dozen to a dozen choices? And I haven't even let on a clue about who it is or why or anything yet. So that's something I got cooking in the can. So yes, that's going to be a big thing that happens in the next few episodes, as well as an upcoming battle. And I don't know when that's going to happen just yet, but it's happening because you got the villains starting to amass. Drake is completely clueless. They want the island, and they want to know the location because they realize the power of the island, and it can create anything you see in the movies. It's kind of like one of my buddies brought it up to me and said it's a lot like The Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where you have the golden ticket, and if you can go into the movie and take anything out of any movie ever made, like a lightsaber or King Kong or something. I said it's a little like that. I never thought about that before, But yeah, so the island can recreate these movie props or anything you've seen in the movies and bring them to reality. So yeah, it's a little like that. But yeah, I just, so the double agent, there's a lot of conspiracy going on. It's all right under Drake's nose. He has no idea. So we don't know who the double agent is, but we know what we do know about the double agent, because I said this in the last episode, or maybe the one before that it's somebody that's in Drake's life in some way. I know you had said it, you thought it was Mirabella, the mermaid. Rich, or who was it? Was it Rich? Somebody said that they thought it was Reggie, which would be a logical choice because he's only in and out. And he's just enough to be in his life, and he marooned Captain Drake on the island back when we hosted Long John Silver. He's up to no good, but he's just funny, you know. So there's been a lot of questions on who the double agent is. So I know you're like, well, there was a slip of the tongue. Did you think I was going to say mermaid? No, I don't know. It might be Mirabella. Who knows? It could be anybody. So yes, thank you so much. I appreciate the call, Tammy, from Los Angeles. That was really nice of you to talk about that with us. So 412-691-3803 is the number for the Pirates Booty. We will be taking your booty calls for another 20 to 25 minutes or so. This next call is from Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is Chris, and he has a question about one of the characters that seemingly met his demise tonight, Captain Walter Time. Chris, you're on the Pirates Booty. How are you?
Hey, Captain. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
That was an awesome show tonight, and I watched all the way to the very end. Every time you get to a part where there's a cliffhanger, I keep thinking to myself, it can't be better than the last time when you killed off Captain Walter. I was absolutely shocked. So has he been completely killed off? I mean, is he absolutely gone?
You know, I want to stick to my guns and say absolutely, because that was big, and I needed something to happen for the villain, the new villain we're introducing, to show he's no nonsense. You know, he's not taking any BS. I wanted this new villain to be like diabolical. I wanted him to be an actual threat for Drake and company. And a lot of the villains I introduced in the show are a lot like that, but I needed somebody powerful. And what better way to introduce him as being a kick-ass villain than to kill off one of his own. But it's kind of like Leonard Nimoy said when he made Star Trek II. And this goes way, way back into the early 80s. I'll never forget this quote, because I was a big Star Trek geek. I was a Trekkie. He said, no one ever really dies in science fiction. So I thought about that, and I said, you know, what a twist that it would be if, time wasn't dead. But it looks pretty decisive tonight, I would say. So to answer your question is, yes. But with an asterisk that says, but never cut out the chance of the world of sci-fi and pop culture. That's what makes it so much fun. 412-691-3803 is the number for the Pirates Booty, where we will be taking your booty calls for another 20 minutes. This next call comes from Dusty in Chesapeake Bay, Maryland. Oh, that's real close to where I used to teach down that way at the College of Southern Maryland. Yeah, about 10 years ago. 15? No, 10 or 11 years ago. I taught down there. Oh, I had a beautiful home down there. Yeah, it was like right in the bay. I watched those big giant ships go past me. I loved it. But then the recession came and destroyed everything, so I had to leave. I ended up in Ohio. But there was nothing wrong with that. I went to Ohio and taught in Cincinnati, and I made a lot of money out there, so I couldn't complain too much. Anyway, this next call's from Chesapeake Bay, Maryland, and Dusty has a question about our next movie. Is that correct? Dusty, you're on the Pirates Booty. How are things tonight?
Good evening, Calico Drake.
Good evening.
I'm a big fan of the show, and I just want to confirm something that I done read in a message in a bottle.
Shoot.
And see if this is a joke or not. Are you really going to be hosting Rescue from Gilligan's Island next month?
Somebody else asked me that question, Dustin.
How's that a horror movie? How's being on an island with Ginger and Marianne a horror movie?
Well, the way I'm angling it, you have to see why we're hosting it, because we're introducing a new character, and it has a lot to do with the new character, has a lot to do with the island. I wanted an island movie, and I thought about doing the film Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, because it's a zombie movie on an island, and I still might do that. But I needed something. You'll have to see how it relates to the character we're introducing, so I take it from the angle that it's kind of like the reason when we hosted Scrooge for Christmas. How is that a horror movie? Well, we cheered for the ghosts. Jacob Marley, we cheered for him. He was evil. He was bad, so we're taking it from a different angle, that a tsunami is going to wipe out the lovable cast of Gilligan's Island. And that's pretty threatening. That's pretty horrific. And I tell you what, when they made the movie, I will say, the tidal wave does wipe out the island. So that's kind of horror related.
That don't make no sense. Can't wait to hear the answer. I'll be watching either way. Sounds like it'll be a fun time. Thanks again for everything you do.
Oh, you're welcome, Dusty. And so to answer your question, yes, we are hosting Rescue from Gilligan's Island. Not a lot of people knew about it. I think if people were to watch this movie, they'd tune in and watch, because a lot of people didn't even know they got rescued from Gilligan's Island. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. And it's next month is kind of a standalone episode. It has a little bit to do with the mythology, but it's a lot of comedy. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. And we start getting into the double agent themed storyline and go from there. It'll be a lot of fun. I think you'll like it. And Dusty, I appreciate the call. 412-691-3803 is the number for the Pirates Booty. We will be taking your booty calls for another 15 minutes. We like to do, as we do every week after the show ends. We just watched the conclusion of Man in the Attic tonight, and we are taking your calls about the show, the movie, and anything else that is pirate related. And this next call is coming from, right down the road, Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania, and she has another question about the double agent scenario and the clues. Judy, you are on the Pirates Booty. How are you tonight?
Captain, permission to come aboard.
Permission granted, matey. Glad to have you.
Thank you. I just wanted to let you know my family and I have been listening to your podcast and watching your show for a couple of years, and I think it's amazing. You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you so much. I love to have wonderful feedback like that. I'm waiting for the phone call that comes across that says, "You guys suck." And I know they're out there, because if anybody watched, and it's probably still available on our Facebook or YouTube page, if anybody watched the pre-show tonight with Rich Kanji hosting it, at the end, we did something that we like to call mean tweets. And we got the inspiration from that because one day we were watching something on Facebook or TikTok or something, and they got the cast and crew of the Avengers movies, and they would have them with a straight face read these really mean tweets that people would say about, Tom Holland or Robert Downey Jr. or Scarlett Johansson, and they would read stuff about their characters. And so occasionally we get mean tweets about the show, and I take it as a compliment because, hey, you're watching, and that's all we really care about. We have a lot of fun with it, and whether they hate me or they don't hate me, or they hate the show or they don't watch the show or they think it sucks, I don't care, because there's no real rating system for this. We do it for the fun of it, and we started this a couple of years ago, and we even plowed right through the pandemic because I think it's important for me to do my part. And somebody said to me, well, what is your part? You keep saying that. My part during the pandemic, and still, because the pandemic's still going on, we're just now starting to pull out of that nosedive, is I like to make people laugh. And I'm not a stand-up comic. There's no money in it. I just want to have fun, and it's not much for me to host a movie that's fairly forgotten about over the years and try to make people laugh. And I think that's important, especially during this time with riots and racism and all kinds of other nonsense that can be counterproductive to our society. You have vaccinated and non-vaxxers and all this other stuff. And, it's important, I think, sometimes just to have a healthy moment where you turn that off and you just look and laugh at something and not think about all the seriousness in the world. Sorry, I had to get another drink of coffee. It is late, but that's why I like to do it. And so to answer your question, or get back to your feedback, I love having feedback, positive, negative. But I've never had a negative call yet, knock on wood, as my grandma would say. Hold on. I had to do that. And Dave's all over. He's looking at me from the booth again. You better not be touching the microphone. That's a Shure microphone. I get it. No, I didn't knock on it. But it's I like to do my part for the way the world is right now. And I can't do very much. So at least I can do is make people laugh. And that's why 100% of all the profits made from Redbubble, where if you buy Dead and Buried Treasures merchandise, 100% of those proceeds go toward the ASPCA and the local shelter here in Washington, Pennsylvania, where's my hometown, and the ASPCA, because often our four-legged friends are forgotten, and that just makes me ill to my stomach, because everybody's all about the pandemic and BLM, and you have all the everything, but everybody forgets about our four-legged friends sometimes. So that's where I'd like all those proceeds to go. I have 3 rescue dogs myself. They are the best dogs in the world that anybody could ever ask for. I'm going to be devastated when they go, but please donate to the ASPCA. Buy yourself a Dead and Buried Treasures t-shirt. Buy yourself some leggings. You don't have to go out and get the shower curtain. Although if you do get a shower curtain, you can now say you shower with Captain Calico Drake, which is pretty odd. But you can always say that. It's a lot of fun. It's all done in jest, but the seriousness of that issue is not, because that's why we donate the proceeds to the animal shelters and things like that. I think it's important. So, thank you for your call, Judy, and thank you from Cannonsburg. 412-691-3803 is the number for the Pirates Booty. We are taking your booty calls for another 5 or 10 minutes or so, as long as time will permit. We try to make this an hour show so it fits as a nice package at the conclusion of our other movie. And tonight was a long one. It went 3.5. I get that. So we thought we were going to wrap it up in a half an hour, but we just couldn't do it. So I said, we're just going to make it a normal hour like we do, because we forgot the after show is also our podcast. And we like to do a nice, clean 1 hour show for both. That's what we like to do, and that's what we like to do. Tonight's show is sponsored again by Redbubble.com for all your merchandise needs of anything dead and buried related. You can get all kinds of merchandise from going to Redbubble and shopping the store of Captain Calico Drake. All the proceeds go to the local animal shelters or the ASPCA. Our other sponsors tonight include Phoenix Comics and Toys, the home of the Dead and Buried Treasures fan club, where you can order a Captain Calico decoder statue and take part in the fun that we do during the show when I send secret text messages, secret codes out there that only members of the fan club can decode with that decoder statue. And I promise not to say drink your Ovaltine, but you'll also get a quarterly newsletter, an 8x10 signed photograph customized between Captain Drake and Jack. and a lot of other piratey goodness. Other sponsors for tonight's show was the Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival, taking you back to our age in the piratey 1700s, as well as Steel City Con, which is where our episode took place tonight, which was a lot of fun because we had the idea to kidnap William Shatner and hold him for a piratey ransom. So it all came together in the show. So 412-691-3803 is the number for the Pirates Booty WDBT Radio. This next call comes from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where Scott has a question about the villains. Oh, the villains in tonight's show, and who is this new guy? Scott, you're on WDBT. Go ahead.
Thanks for taking my call, Eric.
Sure thing.
I can't elaborate enough how much I love the cliffhangers on your show.
Thank you.
I love the villains, and I know that's got to be leading to something. And the fact that you killed off Captain Time was an amazing choice.
Thanks.
I had to back it up 3 times just to watch it again.
Well, it was difficult to part ways. I almost didn't do it, but I'm so glad that I did because the feedback has been so positive. Not that they hated Captain Time, because they never suspected anybody to ever die on the show. And I kind of think that's true. You know, when you deal with a family show like this, to have something like that happen, it shows the power of the main villain, how evil he can be to kill off one of his own, and you let a villain go that was probably one of our best episodes, that was well written. That he's the one who, back in the episode where we hosted Horror Express, this would have been episode 201, our second season premiere. He created a world that was trying to, an award show that a projection like Mysterio and Spider-Man, was where I thought that I was getting an award for the best show, and it turns out it was all fake. And you have to see that one. That was actually nominated for a pretty nice award, and we did a good show with that. So killing off Captain Time was a hard choice, but it's like they say in science fiction. When they killed off Spock in Star Trek II, he was supposed to stay dead. Oh yeah, he was supposed to stay dead. The original thought process was Leonard Nimoy did not want to be Spock anymore. He was sick of it. And after they killed him off, he suddenly changed his mind and said, wait a minute. Maybe I'm missing out on something here. And then they wrote him back in. So, never say never, but that was pretty decisive tonight. I think that would be difficult to bring him back. But again, no one ever truly dies in the world of science fiction, so maybe not quite as difficult as someone would believe. So, thank you. I appreciate that.
This new main bad guy, we don't even know his name, right?
No.
Who is he?
Well, that's going to be part of the mystery for the next several episodes. And there will be, at some point in the series, it may not be next month or next year, or I don't know, whenever I feel like writing it, there will be some point where we unmask him and we reveal who he is. And I think it would surprise everybody to discover who the villain will be. But again, he might be somebody that we haven't even introduced yet far down the line. He might, in fact, be the double agent, So, I think it will. I have all this planned out already. Not like Chris Carter in the X-Files when he had no way to end it. I have certain things in my head that I know I want to do that I think will work, and I'm pretty sure that's the way I want to do it. So as far as the new villain, I think, and we've given clues. Oh yeah, yeah. I've given clues over the episodes. If you watch the show, and we do have a lot of fans out there that are like, they break down stuff. I'm surprised because it's just even though it's a regionally shot show for the Pittsburgh area, we expand to a national audience and even a worldwide audience when we do YouTube and Facebook. So, and now these podcasts, where they talk about this kind of stuff and these sci-fi conventions and stuff. So I had people come up to me at the Steel City Con and ask me questions. So I have it planned out, and there's been clues about who it is, and I will not disappoint, and we will not change our minds. I know who it's going to be. I have it written in my head how it's going to end, and we will go that route. Oh yeah. WDBT Radio, you are listening to the Pirates Booty. We are taking your booty calls for another 5 minutes. We have time for one more? Oh, okay, good. We have time for one more call. I'm sorry if we don't get to all your calls tonight. Please leave voicemails when we will try to answer them, and we will try to answer, if not through voicemail, your social media. We also do that through the Walk the Plank show. But like I said, we want to make an hour broadcast, and here we go. So we have one more call. This one is from Canton, Ohio, and this one comes from Jim, who wants to talk about horror hosts. Jim, you are on the air with the Pirates Booty.
Hello, my name is James Musgrella. I'm watching your show right now on my tablet. I'm calling from Canton, Ohio, and one of the dead and buried treasures I remember was when I used to visit Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania with my family. We'd as kids would watch Chiller Theater in Pittsburgh with Chili Billy Cardell and the Chiller Theater family on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah, I remember that quite well. In fact, part of our inspiration for this show comes from the fact that I grew up in Pittsburgh and I watched Chiller Theater. In fact, if you watch the pre-show tonight, I'm wearing a Chiller Theater t-shirt as a throwback to retro television. Chiller Theater, for those of you who are not from the Pittsburgh area, was one of the original horror host shows that aired in the 60s, 70s, and I think it quit in the mid-80s. I always said this, because I met Bill Cardell, who was the host, Chili Billy they called him, and I had him on another show once that I worked with called Fright Night Friday. We had him on the show there, and I talked with him at length several times. Not just on that show, but I met him at conventions. I knew him fairly well through the movie media and things like that. In fact, I got a chance to work with him on the remake of Night of the Living Dead way back in 1990, 91, something like that. And one of the things he was proud of that I learned out that Chevy Chase, Chevy Chase from Christmas Vacation and Fletch and all those movies from the 80s and 90s. Do you know that when Saturday Night Live aired live, not reruns, live, Chevy Chase never was on in the Pittsburgh area? Did you know that? Dave was like, who's Chevy Chase? Chevy Chase is an older actor. He was in Christmas Vacation. Okay, yeah, that's him, right. He never aired live in Pittsburgh. Want to know why? He was the original host of Saturday Night Live, like the news update and things like that. Because Chiller Theater was so popular in the Pittsburgh area, and it was on Channel 11, which was an NBC affiliate. When Saturday Night Live started in 1974 or 75, somewhere in that area, Chase was on the first 2 years. NBC would not air the show. They said, we got our own show. We got a horror host show that is gangbusters great. And they never aired it. So eventually, they started airing it, but Chase had already left the show when Bill Murray, I think, came aboard. And so he never aired in the Pittsburgh area. So I think they moved Chiller Theater to a late show concept after Saturday Night Live was over. It came on at 1 in the morning, I believe. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that's exactly why. So, well, thank you. Thank you for the call, and thank you for going down nostalgia lane with me as far as the Pirates Booty and Chiller Theater. And thank you to all of our callers that called this evening. We hope we answered some of your questions, had another fun installment of our podcast, and the Booty Calls itself on the Pirates Booty, the official after show of Dead and Buried Treasures. We thank you for calling in. It was such a pleasure to talk to all of our viewers out there. I guess, should we call them fans now? Dave's like, that's awful. That's, what? He said, that's awfully arrogant. Well, that's true. People just might be watching the show to go fall asleep, for all I know. Who says they're fans? Right. But anyway, thank you to everyone who called in tonight. Thank you again for watching Dead and Buried Treasures. Oh, and don't forget our contest at the Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival. If you come out on Pirates Weekend and find me and identify me as Captain Calico Drake, not just, hey, pirate guy. No, you got to get my name right, and you got to get the name of the flagship station that we're on, BPTV. You can win discounted passes to come back to the Renaissance Festival that are good through October 10th. And our big Halloween contest is next month. You'll see more about that on the pre-show and our Facebook page. Until next time, everyone, have a great night. Thanks for listening, and take care. Good night.